A few little details before we get started. First of all, spoilers for Shadow Generations and for Shadow's lore overall. The pages of Gerald's journal are found by using Doom Spear to shoot down the flying targets in both White Space and Doom Zone. The video you are about to watch is my live reading and reactions to the writings in the journal. I collected about half the journal while streaming and read it live on Twitch, and later went back to collect the remaining pages and continued reading them aloud for the purposes of this video. I didn't collect or read all the pages in order, but I did put the pages in order for this video, so I apologize for any confusion. Also, while this video includes some footage from other games to explain my thought processes and to highlight certain things within the journal, there are a lot of games I haven't finished and some I have finished but don't have good gameplay footage of at the moment. And I didn't want to steal footage from other people's videos without permission. Most notably, I have only finished about half the runs of Shadow the Hedgehog, the actual game itself, mostly the dark endings, because I had the game for the original Xbox and that console died on me, Red Ring of Death, and I haven't had a chance to replace it. I have finished Sonic Adventure 2 one time, but I have little to no footage of it. I haven't even unlocked Shadow's story in Sonic 06, much less played any of it. And I don't remember which games G-Merle and Emerald are supposed to be from, but I haven't played them either. Also, I jumped straight into reading without even checking how the controls worked in the journal, so it wasn't until the last couple of pages that I found out there was a way to read it in an easier font. Having said all of that, let's get into reading the journal. I never did look at the collection room, so let's go check it out. I thought it would be something that we would find like we do in Generations, but no. Oh, Gerald's journal. Here's 15 pages. Does that say property of the Eggman Empire? So Eggman actually got his hands on Gerald's journal. Let's see. Here we go. From Archival and Requisitions Department to Commander Abraham Tower. I believe that's the guy that the two colored eyes that was trying to kill Shadow in his own game. Commander, your request for tangible evidence of the Ark incident 50 years ago produced very little results. Your predecessor was quite thorough in erasing the cover-up operation. However, Professor Gerald Robotnik's personal diary managed to survive. Ironically, we have Dr. Eggman to thank for finding it at all. Yeah, it was Eggman that found it. And so I thought, this journal was recovered during the investigation of Dr. Eggman's stronghold following the latest incident with the Ark. So they recovered this journal right after the events of Adventure 2. Unfortunately, time and tragedy have not been kind to the journal. What you're holding now is all that remains of the original book. I'm afraid there is no way of recovering the missing pages, nor can I restore the damaged or redacted elements. It's a pity, as I would have very much liked to have greater insight into Gerald and Maria's lives too. Regards, T. Who's T? Entry number 42. I take great pride in my research and discoveries. Few men are labeled a genius in their own time, but nothing compares to my pride in my boys. Something and something. My boys. So he's talking about his two sons, right? So he's not talking about Evo and somebody else. He's talking about his two sons, and then their children were Evo, Eggman, and Maria and apparently her little sister. They both graduated summa cum laude, and in record time no less, they'll have their doctorates in no time. It seems my passions for archaeology and robotics are split between them, but I guess that's what makes them chips off the old block. Ho ho, I cannot wait to see what boons they bring to the world. Passions for archaeology and robotics are split between them. So I'm guessing Evo's dad was the one interested in robotics, and then Maria's dad was the one interested in archaeology. That's an interesting combination, robotics and archaeology, but like it does make sense why the artificial chaos exists, with one exception. There's a lot of genetics involved in all of this as well. Who the heck was responsible for that if that wasn't one of Evo's specialties? That's kind of weird. Entry number 162. I can't believe how much time has passed. It feels like yesterday I was celebrating my boys becoming men, and now I'm a grandfather. Her name is Maria, and she is perfect in every way. Why would Eggman write that out? Why is Eggman erasing all their names? I don't understand that. Weird. She brings a smile to everyone's face, and everyone falls in love with her the moment they lay eyes on her. If nothing else, she is my legacy. Everything I do from this day forward, I do for her. Ciphered the engravings on an ancient ring I found on a previous dig in the jungle, and calculated the location of a fabled flying paradise. That's how Eggman kept finding, this is how Eggman found things like Angel Island, Mystic Ruins. He got his hands on his grandfather's journal and was using it for nefarious purposes. I went alone to verify my findings and was rewarded with the spectacle of an angelic island. He didn't even know that was what it was called. The land was vast, lush, and hosted a number of biomes in close proximity to each other. I believe I could see an entire floating city at one point. Sky Sanctuary. He's definitely been there. Most majestic of all was a shrine devoted to what appeared to be a massive... That's how Eggman found the Master Emerald. Yeah, could this be the legendary... Eggman got his hand. All these years we've been wondering, how exactly does he keep finding all this stuff? Or at least I have been. This is how. Gerald was a scientist and apparently had money. And he just went around and looked at stuff and was doing research and stuff like that. And he just happened to stumble across things. Meanwhile, Eggman cheated to find all of this. That's what he did. He's just got a book and he's just reading it and going, aha, so this is where I need to go here. Gerald did all the work and Eggman's just profiting off of it. Yet another good reason for Sonic and Shadow to constantly keep kicking Robotnik. I dared not approach or overstay my welcome. As much as I wanted to explore every inch of the island, I felt it was a sacred land. Just setting foot on its soil felt taboo. I don't know if any civilization remains. The land is vast and my stay was brief, but the majesty of that emerald and shrine will stay with me for the rest of my life. He saw the emerald, but he didn't take it. He didn't try to take it. Gerald is definitely much better than Eggman. There are 14 entries completely ripped out. Eggman? I want a word with you. I am about to embark on the most ambitious project of my life. The Earth's first orbital space colony will be the 9th wonder of the world. 9th? 9th? What's the 8th? What? It will be a place of science, researching all manner of ways to improve our home below. Seeing as it is a vessel meant to preserve life amid the harshness of space, I have christened it the Ark. Ah, he's the one that named it. It shall be, that's actually a good name. It shall be a vessel to pass on the value of life and peace to the next generation. And while most of the megastructure will be hidden within the base planetoid, I may have gone a little self-indulgent in the design. Ho ho. Eggman inherited his grandfather's laugh. You know, I had never even thought about that. The Ark had to have been built to look like Gerald because Eggman was still just a boy. He didn't have a mustache, so it wasn't... The Ark couldn't have been based on him. I don't know why that never occurred to me before. Stupid little detail that for me to have picked up, but anyway. The only real concern is the source of the funding. While the United Federation supports us, most of the financing is coming from Gun. I have no illusions about what they'll want, but I'm building the Ark to preserve life, not end it. While I have my concerns, I am a genius, so I'm sure I'll figure something out when the time comes. Well, I don't know. If you truly are a genius, is it bragging to say so? It's like we want to look at Sonic as conceited, but he's as good as he says, if not better. What Bruce Lee said about himself. If I say I'm good, you'll say I'm bragging. If I say I'm no good, you'll call me a liar. It's kind of a catch-22 if you have abilities of any kind and you say that you have abilities. I know there's a medium somewhere in there, but I've never figured out what it is. Life and work aboard the Ark has been exciting for good and for ill. As a positive, we've acquired one of the legendary Chaos Emeralds, I think. For our research, they're said to hold unlimited power, and preliminary tests suggest some effect on space-time, bending reality to one's will. Imagine the possibilities. Sadly, something is doing that, but in all the wrong ways. Their desire for weapons research is becoming increasingly overt and decreasingly polite. I used my clout to get a direct line to the president to ask for him to intervene. He said he would, but then asked me for something equally obscene. Oh my gosh. Gun. I think he's talking about Gun. He wants me to discover a means to immortality. Yeah. The president? Remember, I didn't finish Shadow's game, so the president asked for a means to gain eternal life. I aim to improve life, not pervert it. Well, what do you know? Gerald was actually a decent guy. Everything gives way to entropy. The concept is laughable, as intangible as Shadow. That's good. I refused him outright. In retrospect, perhaps I could have been more diplomatic about it. I don't know how to be diplomatic about saying no. I'm just like, nope. Nope, not happening. I probably would have lost my funding if I'd been Gerald. I find myself on edge. Political pressures aside, I'm told... must be Maria, is sick with no clear diagnosis. I wish I could look into it myself, but I'm needed aboard the Ark. Hopefully this will pass and she'll recover soon. She is too precious to be left to suffer. The all-powerful... He held the power to bind a soul. He just... I cannot make this up. I cannot make out what that's supposed to say. I'm sure somebody that's a little smarter about the lore than I am has probably already deciphered it. Entry number 402. I have uncovered a most interesting specimen from the warehouse. It was first recovered by my son, somebody who became quite the archaeologist. I believe it to be some sort of puppet or robot made by an ancient people. At first, I didn't think of anything of it, but when I was experimenting on the Chaos Emerald, it began to move. This suggests the possibility that even the ancient civilizations could harness the power of the Chaos Emerald. When I was researching various papers related to the Emerald, or maybe Master Emerald, Chaos Master, one or the other. And this robot, I discovered that there was a possibility that this robot was something incredible. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but this robot may be the cause of the destruction of the fourth great civilization. I'm not sure I believe it just yet, though. Fourth great civilization? Let's see. Which civilizations did we have? There was the ancients, but like nobody knew about them until Frontiers. Nobody really knew anything about them. Let's just assume that they were one of these great civilizations. So that is the ancients. We know about the echidnas. I don't believe we know, at least from the games, who the echidnas were at war with during Tikala's time. But and then there's the Babylonians. They do not appear in any of the canon games. But I heard one person pronounce it Canaan years and years ago, and I still say it that way. Stupid. But we haven't seen the Babylonians appear in any of the canon games. But Eggman does mention them in Frontiers. So we do know that the Babylonians did exist. And I can't think who the fourth one would be. Has Sega started doing some actual world building? Because it's been kind of hit or miss so far, but it would be great if they actually are like really getting into some kind of world building and trying to make this a little more cohesive. If moving forward they start making it make sense, start trying to tie things together, which I believe is one of Ian Flynn's big goals, and he's getting a lot of flack from the fandom about it, but like, I personally don't see it as a bad thing. I've been enjoying it. I think they can be forgiven for being kind of all over the place in the past if they can, start trying to pull it all together moving forward. I think that would be great if they actually made a coherent world that makes sense. Entry number 407. The robot. I don't know if it's G-Merle or Emerald. I haven't actually played those games to know for sure. I think one of them was in Chronicles, but I've hardly done any of Chronicles just because, I started a game of Chronicles and then I got some Zelda games for the 3DS and I just never got back to it. Entry number 407. I am no longer able to ignore the possibility that I think he said the robot did in fact destroy the fourth civilization. I have discovered a stone tablet, something much according to the tablet, falls from the heavens and something is joined, all that exists will... Did you have to... No, they're covering something up. They're teasing us. Sega's teasing us. They're teasing us with references to their updated world building and stuff that they're going to start revealing in future games. That's what they're doing. Would be nice if they would explain why G-Merle was in Shadow's Memories of the Ark, because they've never mentioned anything about him before. What? Of course, they never mentioned anything about Maria having a sister before, so what the heck are we doing? It is difficult to be something, been watching my movements. So I was amazed by my reams and reams, most powerful weapons of ever restored. Huh? What? That does not sound good. What? Entry number 428. It has been a trying time, to say the least. Maria was diagnosed with neuroimmunodeficiency syndrome. There is no cure. Yeah. Yet, I pulled some strings and had her brought aboard the Ark for treatment and assessment. The low-gravity environment should help keep her symptoms manageable. Her family has been less than enthusiastic with my decision. Despite everything, she remains the most positive person in the room. Most of the staff here left their families back on Earth, so I worried she'd feel lonely. Instead, she's become the adoptive daughter of every researcher on the Ark. That is so adorable. Moreover, she's become like a big sister to little... That's gotta be Tower. Abe, Tower, whatever you want to call him. The Ark's happy little accident over the past few years. The Ark's what? Okay, first of all, Bob Ross exists in this universe. Secondly, does that have something to do with his heterochromia? The two different colored eyes? Because I always thought it was really interesting that he has two different colored eyes. Like, that's a really specific thing to give a character and then not do anything with it. And it kept bugging me because of, like, the story. From a story perspective, was it just so that we could recognize this guy, or because that's still a little weird, but apparently they had something in mind with him. The president keeps prompting me with his guest to unlock the mysteries of life. Perhaps with his funding and clout, I can find a M-E-A? Oh, I can't make out what that last letter is. To cure Maria while chasing that shadow. Maria may have named him Shadow, but Gerald was calling him that even before he made him. Entry number 515. Gunn has dropped all pretense and is demanding weapons research in exchange for continued funding. I promised the president I'd begin work on Project Shadow, but even he can't get them to back down. It appears I have a gun to my head on the matter. Yeah, he definitely had kids. He's got the jokes. He's got the dad jokes. Okay, years ago, I discovered records of an ancient god of destruction called Chaos. Oh. It was said to command the fury and force of the ocean or something to that effect. You better believe it, brother. I've begun developing a basic AI-driven apparatus that can generate cohesion in water and produce controlled shapes for basic actions. That's the construction of artificial chaos. I've told the top brass these can turn any body of water into an autonomous weapon. Deep down, I'm hoping it can be used as easily deployed search and rescue units. Imagine a flood turned back on itself to aid those in the rubble. Gerald was forced to sort of play a double agent on himself in order to keep doing research for Maria's condition. Because he didn't want to make these into weapons, but he was hoping they could be used for something else, but they ended up becoming weapons anyway. They ended up becoming some of the most annoying enemies in the whole freaking game. Entry number 530, research into Project Shadow is in full swing. The first step has been learning how to siphon Chaos Emerald energy and apply it to it'd be Chaos Emerald because the Master Emerald was left back on Earth. Apply it to living tissue. To that end, I've developed the Chaos Drive. So that's where they came from. Okay. Direct application seems too harsh. Any organism that could directly interface with an emerald would be fearsome indeed. Fearsome indeed. Yeah. Not if he's got a pure heart. The initial tests were promising, so we're now moving on to the next stage in trials. I will be using salamanders for their regenerative abilities and manageable size. He became pretty unmanageable as far as I can. We will begin applying chaos drives to the test subject and see how its vitals respond. And to keep Gunn from breathing down my neck, I'm supplying them with chaos drives as batteries for their mechanized division. I loathe powering engines of war, but sacrifices have to be made if I'm to save Maria. I'll figure something out in the long run. I am a genius after all. I'm honestly thinking when he says, I am a genius after all, he's not like bragging on himself. Like, I am a genius after all, but more like, I can do this. I am a genius after all. You know? Did Does that make sense? What I was just trying to say there. Contrasted with Eggman, who's like, oh, ho, ho, I have a 300 IQ and I'm going to take that little blue pest down, you know? There's two kinds of smart. Okay. Entry number 568. Project Shadow has reached an impasse. The subject exhibits accelerated cellular growth to the point it cannot support its own biological systems. Wow. I've developed an external life support system to compensate. Okay. But it will need to be upgraded and redesigned as the subject continues to grow. The way it thrashes and roars, it seems to be is uncontrollable. Furthermore, it is generating unexplained energetic reactions. Is this an expression of the Chaos Emerald, I'm guessing, power? Can a living thing produce such energy? Can it be controlled? There are too many questions, and unfortunately the answers lie in this bio-lizard's life. I will keep it alive and as comfortable as I can until I have the answers I need. In other words, bio-lizard pretty much on a death sentence that entire time, but somehow or other it managed to survive because of the life support system. Remember in the bio-lizard fight in Generations, at one point Shadow says, essentially he's going to put it out of its misery and its tortured existence, something to that nature. He felt sorry for it. Like, you can see that this thing is on its last legs, flippers, whatever those are. It definitely looks like something that shouldn't still be alive. I found a region in the Ark that should be able to safely house it while we continue our experiments. I'm not sure what I will tell Gunn. What I will tell Maria. I do not want to lie to her, but I think the truth is too cruel. Yeah. Entry number 589. Maria is growing into a lovely young woman. It breaks my heart that someone as bright and energetic as her is diminished by disease. There are no visible effects, and I've caught my fellow researchers muttering to each other, awaiting her illness. It is infuriating. I find all my reason and restraint vanishes when she's slighted. And yet she remains an unending font of positivity. Even on her worst days, when the fear and the pain take hold, she tells me she endures for the day when she can return home. She has total faith in me and that Project Shadow will cure her. Her family back on Earth has no such faith. It's been so long, some of the researchers actually think she was born here. Her family either wants her better or wants her home. I can do neither. Somehow their scorn is harsher than the government or the military's increasing pressure for more weapons research. Entry 616, desperate times call for, oh crap, I don't know where we're going. Call for desperate measures, and I am a desperate man. The Black Comet returned to Earth on its 50-year orbit. I had no idea it actually harbored aliens. Aboard it was something or other about Black Doom. Somehow he knew about the Chaos Emerald and seemed impressed with my work. He offered me a Faustian deal. I accepted. Gerald's upset he forgot to write a word. Using his DNA, I was able to overcome every hurdle Project Shadow has put before me. The small, sturdy biped I developed can perfectly interact with Chaos Emerald energy. I'm saying Chaos Emerald, but it's kind of weird that at one point Chaos was redacted and Emerald was still left. So I'm not. Black Doom wanted me to craft a herald for his future invasion. Doom wants Project Shadow to generate undying soldiers for them. Gunn wants Project Shadow to generate undying soldiers for them. I will play them both for fools. You did manage to do that. Entry 620. When I launched Project Shadow, initially I named it with scorn and mockery. I was trying to grab hold of an intangible goal. Later it sounded appropriately villainous as I was toying with the fundamentals of life itself, right? Then Maria looked upon the unfinished specimen and put things into a whole new perspective. The shadow tells you which way to go to find the light. In an instant, she cut through all my pessimism and doubt and filled me with hope. Shadow, as she's come to call him, will not be some dark creature, but a champion of life and hope. I would not have seen that if not for Maria. She is truly a remarkable person who can do great and wondrous things for the world. I must save her, no matter the cost. Entry number 633. I now understand 633. It's been like 2 years of entries if he's been writing one a day. Which I don't think he has been. Because there's entries missing like even in the middle of a page. But anyway. I now understand why this being was named Gizoid in the ancient tongue. It means everything. According to the stone tablet, if the Gizoid establishes a link with someone, the Gizoid will swear loyalty to that person. Perhaps it still lacks, I'm still guessing Chaos Emerald energy. I could be wrong about that, but it has been saying the word link to me in broken tones. It went on to explain, show me your true strength and I shall obey. I am all things, and all shall belong to me. So, that little yellow, brown, golden robot that we saw in Dark Beginnings, apparently his name is Gizoid. So, as it suggested, I brought before it my collection of model guns. And find them all. Then suddenly it said, I shall follow your every command and never leave your side, and since then it refuses to listen to anyone but me, while it still is a fearsome weapon of destruction. While it remains under my control, at least it won't be used for evil. However, if someone with evil intentions ever forms a link with the Gizoid, I don't even want to think about what will happen. I must research how one can re-establish a link with the Gizoid. Entry number 640, the upper echelon is going crazy. Perhaps they aim to freeze Project Shadow. Soon the ultimate life form, Shadow, will be completed. The application to my granddaughter is also imminent. I cannot just let them stop my study at this point because I am the only one who can save my granddaughter's life. Entry number 642. The higher-ups are threatening to shut down this research facility. I had no choice but to hand them the Oh, crap. Oh, boy. Hand them the Gizoid to buy more time for my research. I get it. He did what he had to do to try to save Maria, but still. I tried to be careful and commanded it to never absorb any dangerous technologies. However, I have heard that other researchers have been making the Gizoid absorb weapons. Apparently, the way to cause the Gizoid to form a new link is to show it power that surpasses that of its former master. While this poses immense danger, I cannot risk losing Maria. So the more powerful something is, the more the Gizoid is going to form a link with it. Entry number 650, the top brass still aren't satisfied. The Gizoid isn't big enough or flashy enough for them. Fine! Ooh. Underlined. The word fine there is underlined. Wow. I've developed a weapon I'm calling the Eclipse Cannon, I'm guessing, to tap directly into the Ark's central reactor to produce an unethical degree of firepower. They'll love it. However, to use it on any target on Earth would destroy the world. They'll never be able to fire it. Checkmate. So that's why he did that. Okay. Nice. Never knowing that the creature he just was creating to try to save the world would also try to use it to destroy it. But, like, that was just circumstances, amnesia, and really crappy life, you know? It will, however, be the perfect tool to deal with the Black Doom, the Doom, when they return. Eclipse means shadow. This is eclipse canon. I like that. I don't know why I never thought of that. Was that always Sega's intention? Because that's really good. That's really good. I like that. My gift to him in battle, he never asked for. I'm so sorry. Oh, his intention. So his intention was if the eclipse cannon was ever used for Shadow, to use it on Doom. Entry number 651. Maria doesn't know the full scope of what Shadow has been designed for, but she understands he will be under tremendous strain. No kidding. She's helped me conceptualize, I don't know why I'm having trouble reading some of these, I apologize, a number of accessories that will help focus his power and aid in his mobility. I'm also researching chaos control to see if I can gain an understanding of it before Shadow awakens. The power to stop time and space is incredible, and I don't want him to have to try to learn its intricacies on his own. Even though due to his amnesia, he probably did have to relearn it over and over and over again. But, again, no one's fault. Well, the fault of no one on the Ark. Deep down, I know this progress is superficial, tangential at best. The larger issues remain. Gun, the President, the Doom. I'm guessing that's what it says. My family. I've gleaned there's a rift growing between my sons. Huh. My love for them shouldn't be a divisive issue. I'm running out of time. There was that one egg memo in Frontiers. Eggman was saying something or other about everyone's always talking about Maria all the time. Meanwhile, I'm just standing right there. And like, Eggman is a narcissistic jackass at best, but Eggman is supposed to be 60-ish, right? And we know Shadow is 50 years old. The stuff on the Ark happened 50 years ago. So Eggman, Evo, was a 10-year-old kid at the time. So we're guessing he was around Maria's age. I'm estimating when I say 60 and 10 years old, but he was just a kid. One way or another, all of this mess that's happening, and again, I'm not blaming Gerald or Maria or the Ark or even Gun or Doom or the President of this. It was just a huge mess that happened. And obviously Eggman adores his grandfather because he calls him a genius. Eggman at least very much admires Gerald. He knows Gerald is crazy because Eggman was like, he knew he had to stop his grandfather because it was going to destroy the world. But at the same time, Eggman was just like going on and on about his grandfather. What a genius! And as I recall, anyway, I don't remember him really saying anything against him in Adventure 2, and if he has at any point since then, aside from maybe something in the Egg Memos that I've forgotten about, I just don't get the impression that Eggman has ever said anything nasty about Gerald. I get the impression that he admires him. So all of this that happened with Maria and her being taken on board the Ark, as we've already seen, is causing tension in the family. And Gerald mentions it again here. Him taking Maria on the Ark, taking her away from the family, is causing tension. From the way that he phrases, I've gleaned there's a rift growing between my sons. My love for them shouldn't be a divisive issue. Is that they're arguing about, well, which one of us does he love more? Like they're arguing about him playing favorites or something. Well, and I don't know. It's not making it clear whether the argument is Marie's uncle saying he must love you and your daughter best because he's up there trying to find a way to fix her, or if it's Maria's dad saying, well, at least he's taking care of my Maria. You know, they're not making it clear which one is which. Either way, Evo is standing there listening to all of this and being like, hello, I'm here, I'm still alive, and I'm not sick, I'm, you know, a child genius here, recognize me. Oh, well, that explains his 300 IQ and why he's so obsessed with himself being so smart. Okay, I just figured something out about Eggman I didn't even realize I needed to know. Okay. Anyway, loving this picture of Shadow's air shoes. That phrase is never gonna not be funny to me after Prime. Anyway, and apparently Maria came up with the design of using rings for his shoes. Something I've been wondering about. So I know that the rings around Shadow's arms are limiter rings, inhibitor rings. I think Gerald called them limiter rings in this one. I feel like I've heard him called inhibitor rings as well. Read something like that. Question I'm wondering about, and especially with it showing these two little lines in it, in the ring part, are the rings around his shoes also limiter rings as well? Or are they just for decoration? I'm confused about that. I really don't understand, because I've only ever seen him taking off the ones on his arms haven't watched or played these, but clips of scenes in Sonic X and Sonic 06. So, I don't know if these are limiter rings as well, or just what they are. Entry number 670. It has been a whirlwind of events as of late. Shadow is awake. Oh, yeah. Project Shadow is complete, and Shadow has awakened. Why? So we know Eggman's the one that redacted. That word is never not going to be funny to me anymore. We know Eggman is the one that redacted all of these words, right? So how come he didn't redact Project Shadow, but he did redact Shadow's name? And why did he redact Maria's? That really doesn't make any sense to me. Project Shadow is complete and Shadow has awakened. I pre-programmed a great deal of data into his mind, but his ability to parse it out and apply it to a situation is remarkable. All of his vitals are strong, and there seems to be no signs of instability or mutation. He stands in stark contrast to the monster we have sealed below decks. But all successes of the physical and mental prowess come second to his relationship to Maria. I had hoped they'd get along, but it's far better than that. She is his guide to the world, and he is her stalwart companion. Never have I seen such instant mutual friendship and trust between two beings. I am truly moved. They remind me why I've been working so hard. They bring me hope. Back on Earth, he marked out my son, and he just said Maria's parents. Maria's parents have been blessed with another little girl. Yes, Maria mentioned a little sister. They've already run tests. I couldn't read it because of the black mark out thing. And she has none of the genetic markers linked to Maria's condition. While this was welcome news, the unspoken commentary was received loud and clear. I must save Maria. I must get my family back. Shadow, you are the key to it all. Entry 670, 706. Okay. My worst fears have come true. The Gizoid has absorbed enough weaponry and technology that it has started to go out of control. The resulting rampage resulted in the destruction of most of the Ark. Gizoid did that? I have deciphered the rest of the stone tablet. It says, when the Gizoid had learned all that it could, it became a god of wrath and all was destroyed. The researchers somehow managed to subdue the Gizoid and sealed it away. Luckily, it only had one Chaos Emerald installed. If it were to have all... if it were to have all 7 emeralds installed, it might destroy the whole planet. The Gizoid is too much of a liability. I tried destroying its core, but nothing I did worked. I understand too little of the technology they built in. Okay. We already have a clue here how to kill this thing when it shows up in a future game, because it's gonna show up in a future game. It didn't show up out of the blue here like this with all of this backstory for it to not show up in a future game. And I would bet what little bit of... I can do this? I was so busy reading, I never even tried the controls on this. What was I saying? Oh yeah, something or other about Gizoid. So I've already mentioned this. I think Frontiers 2 is going to be about Shadow doing something or other, running around Chaos Island without Sonic knowing about it, without Sage knowing about it, I guess. Gizoid is going to be the main villain in Frontiers 2, and they are building up to it. That is my prediction for the future of this series. Judging by Sega's usual timeline, it's going to be 5 to 7 years before we find out for certain. I'm going to wait. I needed Frontiers 2 last year. I'm not going to be one of those angry fans saying I want it now. I want it. I will tell you, in all sincerity, I have literally been praying for God to make Sega take the time to cook this game properly and make Frontiers 2 into a good game, because Frontiers 1 was extremely good. It could have been better. They had to scrap their original ending, as I understand it. They had to scrap their original ending. People have found things in the game files that seem to indicate that they were actually... Ouranos Island wasn't just going to be the other half of Kronos that got chopped up. No. Ouranos was going to be the Ancient's mothership out in space. Or at least that's a theory that I heard, and I think that makes sense, and I think that would have been awesome and epic. I have been literally praying that whatever Sega does with Frontiers 2, because they've already said they're working on a Frontiers 2 and that they're going to use a lot of the same design concepts that they learned in making Frontiers 1. I'm praying that God stays with them and doesn't let them give in to the temptation of dishing out a half-cooked game just because the fans are ticked off, but that they give us whatever wonderful story God has planted in their minds, because I believe that's the way God works. Disagree with me on that, or if you want, but that's what I'm praying for. Continue reading now that I can actually read. The researchers somehow managed to subdue the Gizoid and sealed it away. Luckily, it only had one Chaos Emerald installed. If it were to have all 7 emeralds installed, it might destroy the whole planet. The Gizoid is too much of a liability. I tried destroying its core, but nothing I did worked. And I'm thinking that line right there is gonna be a clue to the boss battle against Gizoid in Frontiers 2. If that's what Sega is doing. But I just do not believe that they're coming up with all this backstory, and they showed us this robot in Dark Beginnings, and that they're not going to use it. And if that is what they do, then why? Anyway, I understand too little of the technology that built him. My best hope is to try and reprogram its AI into a free-willed, emotions-based AI. I just had the craziest thought. Did anybody else think that it was just really sudden that Eggman figured out how to build Sage and built her so amazing and so perfect, and you know, she is nearly perfect. She was even able to learn emotions. What kind of ancient technology did he access to do that? And Sage is going to be in Frontiers 2 as well. We already know that. Entry number, we don't know. Oh boy. I've lost track of the days. Not very scientific of me. I'm strained. Something has to give. The Gizoid's rampage caused the artificial chaos to behave erratically. Ah, so that's why they are the way they are. I attempted to regain network control by inverting the polarity of the text smears illegible. So instead they became violent. Oh, frack. Something raced across the arc, pacifying them quite expertly, but the damage is done. Who? Gizoid? No. Maria? How would she be able to do that? Let's see, which characters do we know of? Top one, the ones that I can think of. So Gerald's not talking about himself. Eggman is not on the ship, and neither is the rest of Gerald's family. Shadow just doesn't have that kind of personality to be able to calm down an AI. Maria does, but how would she even know how to do that? Gizoid's the one that drove them crazy. I suppose he would be able to fix them, but I don't know why he would. The only other one I could think of would be Abraham Tower. I suppose he would have the capability, but he was still just a kid, so who knows? This one is puzzling me. An SOS was sent to Gun, I'm guessing automatically. I dread the litigious reprimanding I have to endure next. Holy what? Oh boy, a beautiful mind, lovely. Okay, great. Oh. Bunch of very simple math equations that even I can figure out. Heritage of the past, I dug out Gizoid, and the ultimate life form I created by my own hand. Shadow, I equipped both weapons with heart. If all powers are not what is to be obtained for oneself, but what is to be born from hearts that yearn for someone, I believe all conflicts should cease to exist. Please, if there is anyone listening to my prayers, bring hope to humanity. That's that give a desperate man. I don't quite know what happened or what went wrong. Was it a mistake to create the ultimate life form? I thought it would be something that would benefit mankind, but then the military guards landed on the colony that day. They were sent to destroy the research Gerald's handwriting is really bad. Gerald's handwriting got really bad really fast. Then the military guards landed on the colony that day. They were sent to destroy the research project that I had been working on. My colleagues at the research facility, my granddaughter, Maria. I hope you are all safe. The colony was completely shut down, probably to keep the prototype from falling into the wrong hands. The Ark was shut down under the premise that there had been an accident. What is that picture of a bridge? There's something that's radical. Highway! I found Maria's name among those who died when the Ark was shut down. She meant everything to me, and I couldn't bear the thought that she died because of my research. I lost everything. I had nothing more to live for. I went insane. Yeah, I think this was written while he was insane. All I could think about was to avenge her. Somehow, some way. I got scared as I was no longer able to control my thoughts. All I could think about was that I wanted it all to end. Based on my original projections, I was able to complete my project Shadow. I designed its mind to be perfect, pure. I will leave everything to him. If you wish, release and awaken it to the world. If you wish to fill the world with destruction. That was Gerald's journal, and how Eggman was able to find out everything about Shadow. Probably how Eggman found out a lot of other things too. That was honestly more depressing than anything. There's one thing that's confusing me, and it's a question other people have asked too. Where did Gerald get the hedgehog DNA, and why did he go with hedgehog? Maybe that, like I said, maybe that's explained later. And not just hedgehog, but sentient hedgehog. Like anthropomorphic.